Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable, the adjudicators, and all of the audience. My name is Rizki Syahputra, the first speaker of the opposition team from the Senior High School of Excellence, Arsa Foundation, Sukoharjo. The deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor are a few examples of cases of racial violence by police officers that recently sparked a wave of anti-racism protests in the United States. 6 years ago, although the scope was not as massive as now, similar demonstrations have been promoted along with the tragic deaths of a number of black men such as Eric Garner, Michael Brown, and Laquan McDonald at the hands of the police. Sadly, police brutality doesn't just happen to adults. In November 2014, a 12-year-old black boy named Tamir Rice was shot dead by the police because he was seen playing with guns in a city park in Cleveland, Ohio. Defund the Police is a slogan that supports divesting funds from police department and reallocating them to non-policing forms of public safety and community support, such as social service, youth service, housing, education, healthcare, and other community research. And I would like to rebuttal the first speaker of the government team. And the first argument of the government team said that by changing of revising several legislation or institution would create them safe. I mean, black people, Asian, and etc. are made in racist by police. Will this make them safe? Of course not. Essentially, this racism was happened since decades in the USA, and it would be very difficult to change the police mindsets that blamed the position of acting racist, except by defunding them. Dissolve the same by stopping their authority to act, so this would not happen again for them. Second, by reforming the institutional regulation, it will make it better and make them feel safety. Is this right? No, I do believe that it is wrong and difficult to do. Police reform is complicated. Most people and police departments are locally funded and managed with deep reservoirs of local support and influential unions. Series are run at the country level, and all forces and laws are dictated by state or federal official, and despite what changes on paper, cultures matter too. These are the reasons of why the government should defund the police. First, policing in the US was established to maintain white supremacy. Second, policing doesn't keep us safe. And the third is body cameras, trainings, and other so-called review measures will not end cycles of police violence. And the fourth is policing diverts billions of dollars from schools, healthcare, and other federal programs that need more funding to strengthen our communities to support and shared well-being. Then the third argument of the first speaker of the government team said that if the government defund the police, it will only make more problems in the future. But it is actually not. Last month, the Washington Post published an article that cautioned that after a recession budget crunch, Vallejo, California, defunded its police department and officer killing shut up, while crime enforcement plummeted. Vallejo's experience offers a glimpse of what a reduced police presence on America's streets could mean as defending countries continues to gain traction. The piece warned. But austerity-driven disinfant is not the future defense one. It also does not accurately represent the publicly police vision that defense advocates are fighting for, as the Washington Post later clarified in the article. Then, part of the push here is that we know what we want to defend. The other part about the demands for what we need, says defense advocate and Illinois State Sen. Robert Peters. Folks often get caught up in this, oh my god, of demanding to defund the police. People need to know there is a whole host of other demands attached to that, which are about uplifting community. In a sense, dividing us is a suite of publicly police idea premised on investment in individual well-being, community infrastructure, alternative first responder service, and this statement from the use of lethal force. Diverse don't just emphasize expanding social programs and investments but also removing money from police departments. They argue that the swelling police budget full and violence and corruption. Advocates like the Center for Popular Democracy, Kumar Rao, argue that police departments run on a broad financial feedback loop where, after poorly policing communities of color running up huge legal fees for abuse, torture and unjust killing, departments are rewarded with larger budgets the next year, funding a cycle of violence. Defunding the police also become the stronger way to stop the racism by the police. Like the data that I got from Forbes report from August 2020, at least 13 cities have defunded or are in the process of defunding their police department. Cities defunded police departments, National Police Support Fund in New York City, Washington D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, L.A., San Francisco, Atlanta, Minneapolis, Seattle, Salt Lake City, Portland, Oregon, Hartford, Connecticut, Norman, Oklahoma, Austin, and Texas. Those are the cities that on the way to defund or have been defunded the police departments. Part of the problem here is the amount of money that has gone toward policing over the last several decades, says Rao. We are now reaching a point where we spend over $100 billion every year on policing. That kind of spending on policing has entrenched an institution and has made it ultimately unaccountable. For all, increasing police budgets increase the number of officers, which increase the scope of officer duties, which increase officer interaction with civilians, which increase opportunity for police violence. Police officer-based enforcement is less effective than infrastructural alternatives like street redesigns and automated enforcement and puts people of color at risk. The case for self-enforcing street, the report placed in June by Transportation Alternative seeks to remedy the ways in which enforcement of traffic laws leads discretionary and often based policing of minorities. In the conclusion, the reform of institutional doesn't change the police to do the action of racism, except the government defund the police. So me as the first speaker of the opposition team will say disagree with the motion. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.